Let's go.
We have a quorum.
Let's go.
Okay. The board meeting of the Park District of Highland Park is hereby called to order at 6:03 PM, Tuesday, November 17th, 2015, here at West Ridge Center. Kathy, can we please call the roll?
Commissioner Bernstein?
Here.
Commissioner Flores-Weiskopf? Commissioner Kaplan will not be present tonight. Vice President Ruttenberg?
Here.
President Myers?
And I am here as well. I understand that Commissioner Flores-Weiskopf will be joining us, but we have a quorum with the three of us, so we can proceed with business. So why don't we do so? Any requests from the other commissioners for any additions to the agenda?
No.
Okay. Any comment from the public on any of the items on the agenda before we consider them? Okay. Let's move on to our consent agenda. You see before you items A through I, all of which have either been provided to us in our board packets or previously discussed at other duly noticed board meetings. Could I please get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So move. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any debate? Can we call the roll, please?
Commissioner Bernstein?
Aye.
Vice President Ruttenberg?
Aye.
President Myers?
Aye. The consent agenda is approved. Motion carries. Bringing us to our unfinished business, our first item is the approval of the intergovernmental agreement between the North Shore School District 112 and the Park District of Highland Park for the use and maintenance of property. Executive Director McElroy.
So, as everyone is aware, we have had a long-standing agreement with our North Shore District 112 regarding the use of facilities by both the Park District of School District facilities, the School District of Park District facilities, and the Park District of maintaining school properties. The agreement that we had in place expired in 2013 and had not been renewed. And last week, we engaged in discussions with District 112. And as you know, we were looking for a 10-year extension of the existing agreement, although expired. And so Superintendent Michael Brady and myself, along with the school district attorney and the park district attorney, got together last week and went through the agreement. And before you have now an updated agreement with a start date of January 1, 2016, and expiration date of December 31st, 2026. And all of the conditions of this agreement are as they have been over the past years. The only change comes in the appendix, and you can see, because you have a red line or a stricken copy, is back in the day the Park District was applying herbicides on school properties and specifically ball fields, and we no longer do that. So this agreement, specifically the appendix, speaks to that. So the school board is also reviewing and approving, well, we believe that they're approving this agreement. So at this stage of the game, I am pleased to recommend that the board approve the intergovernmental agreement from January 1, 2016 through December 31st, 2026.
Excellent, thank you. Questions or comments from the board? Okay, I will note that I am pleased we were able to reach an agreement and put back in place this understanding that had existed between our two governments for over 30 years. And I look forward to the mutual sharing of facilities with our colleagues at School District 112.
Move for approval. Second.
Motion and a second. Any debate? Hearing none, can we call the roll?
Commissioner Bernstein?
Aye.
Commissioner Flores-Weiskopf?
Aye.
Vice President Ruttenberg?
Aye.
President Myers?
Aye. Motion passes. We will sign and deliver the IGA.
Thank you.
So that brings us to our next item, which is PDHP 2015 PDERMA Loss Control Review. And PDERMA is the Park District Risk Management Association.
Yes.
That is basically our insurance carrier and risk manager,
Yes.
right?
And
Director McElroy.
Actually, what I would like to do is turn it over to Megan Culling, who has been our full-time safety coordinator for the past 2 years, and Megan pretty much drives the ship in terms of risk management and safety. And so I would like for her to just give a really brief overview of what this accreditation means to the Park District and what we do to get it.
Good evening.
Good
Good
evening.
evening.
So Paderma provides us many tools in the risk management field, and one of those tools is the loss control review. And this review used to be every 3 years, but now they've gone to a 4-year process. At the end of October of 2015, the Park District completed the process. This review, the purpose of it is to ensure that the district is engaging in efforts to continuously evaluate, develop, and maintain and enhance risk management practices. So basically that what we do matches our policies and procedures. The different areas that are evaluated are administrative, aquatics, ice, loss experience, parks maintenance, recreation, and then our facilities of Deer Creek Racket Courts, Heller Nature Center, and Westridge Center. This is a very intense process. It's a year long, so it starts in January with an orientation process of the staff, and then it moves to staff working diligently to gather information. And the different areas that we're evaluated on are inspections, training and orientation, general liability management, natural resource management, and on-site field observations. So when our consultant is here, he observes staff in their day-to-day operations and makes sure that we're doing things appropriately. So we meet twice typically with our consultant in each area to evaluate these different sections. Excitingly, this year for 2015, the review score was a 97.64%. In 2012, which was our last review year, we obtained a 95.67. So we improved due to staff's hard work and continuous, safety measures. With this score, the district has received accreditation from Paderma. And what that accreditation means is that we have received the highest level of achievement for the loss control review. With the 90, you have to obtain a 95% at least, and there's 2 other criteria that must be met for this accreditation to be complete. The first is that in the last 2 formal loss control reviews, we have to get at least a 95% in both years, but neither score can be below a 92.5. So you can't have a very high year and a middle year to obtain that percent. So we did that as well. And the second is the district scored better in 2 of the 5 areas of lines of insurance coverage. Those 5 lines are workers' compensation, property, general liability, employment practices, liability, and pollution. So we obtained that as well. So excitingly, with this accreditation, we will get a plaque in recognition of this accreditation, as well as a $1,500 check for the district. So, thank you to Liza and the Board of Commissioners, as well as the staff, for the continuous efforts in safety, for the district. Does anybody have any questions?
I just want to say first, wow. I remember when we were at 95+%, and I thought that was an exceptional score. So I'm somewhat at a loss for words now that we've gone up from there. You've gone from an A to a really good A. So congratulations to you and the whole loss control team. That is an exceptional result. And I will just point out that it'll be ironic if somebody gets injured nailing up the plaque. So
Somebody knock on wood, please.
how are you going to spend the $1,500?
I'm sorry?
How are you going to spend the $1,500?
Staff discussed having an appreciation luncheon for all staff to attend and, go through the process so everybody understands why, but celebrate staff and their efforts.
Safely.
Safely, of course. Safety never sleeps.
Excellent. Any other comments from the board? Excellent. Congratulations again.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You are so getting a T-shirt that says "Safety Never Sleeps." Please make that happen.
We can make that happen. That's easy.
Maybe a hat. I'm sort of indifferent between the two, but definitely something.
Buttons, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll come up with some.
Buttons for no
Stickers.
And somebody will get stabbed putting them on, and then
We'll go with
We
stickers.
should go with Make America Great Again.
So now we just have to continue to maintain that high
and
level.
continue to maintain. Yes, that is the problem with percentages. They can only go up to 100.
Right.
It's true. Math never sleeps either.
I think it's a remarkably wonderful achievement, and as you're saying, congratulations to the whole staff for bringing this about.
Agreed. All right, our next item is the Kemper Management Agreement for the Highland Park Country Club. Executive Director McElroy.
So as you recall, we actually discussed this at the workshop meeting last week. Our agreement with Kemper, we signed a one-year agreement at the start of 2015, and that agreement expired. So we have had some meetings with Kemper and have agreed with the board's approval to enter into an amended agreement, a 2-year amended agreement, so that Kemper will continue to operate the golf and banquet and all the doings at the Highland Park Country Club through December 31st, 2017. We have spent the past year working certainly more closely with Kemper than we ever have before as the oversight of that property right now. And we really had a chance to meet with them as we were going through budget review for 2016 and talk to them about some practices that we might like to see them employ to help us, certainly in every effort possible, to save on costs and to be more efficient. And they have agreed to work with us on that. And I think overall, we've been generally pleased with the work that Kemper has done. And so we would recommend approval of a 2-year amended lease. Actually, we would recommend that you authorize me to enter into the 2-year lease with Kemper. The agreement has been reviewed by our attorney, and we believe that questions that were asked at the last meeting have been satisfied, and we are good to go.
Questions?
I would like to move the approval.
Second.
Debate? Hearing none, could we call the roll, please?
Commissioner Bernstein?
Aye.
Commissioner Flores Weiskopf?
Aye.
Vice President Ruttenberg?
Aye.
President Myers?
Aye. Motion's passed. The amendment is approved. We will execute it in due course. Excellent. Next item, our Resolution 1502, Truth in Taxation. Who's providing us with truthiness tonight? That would be Director Curtis. It's a word.
It is a word. It is a word. A legit word. Hello, everybody.
It's a new word, but it's a word.
It works.
Okay. As you know, this is a process that we just need to walk through the different steps. So at
Budgeting never sleeps.
there's a lot of truth to that.
So are you
Truthiness.
suggesting reversible T-shirts now?
As explained at the board workshop on November 15th, the Park District must prepare at least 20 days prior to the tax levy ordinance approval an estimate of the tax levy. This estimate is known as the Truth in Taxation and must be approved by the Board of Commissioners. At the November 10th meeting, the board accepted the recommendation of the Finance Committee for the levy increase of 1.74% based on a 0.8% CPI increase in its capped funds, which is the general and the recreation fund, and then levying 4 cents EAV in the special recreation fund. Since the levy increase is less than 5%, the district does not have to hold a truth in taxation hearing, and we also did not put into the newspaper that black box that you see, that is the truth in taxation. Since we're under that 5%, we're not required to do that. So basically, staff recommends that the Board of Commissioners approve Resolution 1502, which should have been in your board packet, the truth in taxation, indicating that the tax levy for 2016, or which is tax year 2015, will be $10,749,842. It's an increase of $183,525, greater than the prior year's extension.
So just to refresh everyone's recollection from our budget discussion, the math on that is pretty simple. That means for every dollar that people are currently spending on Park District taxes next year would be a little under 2 cents more. And for every $100 would be $1.73
Yes.
more We do that effectively to keep up with the cost of living, inflation, some additional projected growth in our tax base, well below what we could levy, and keeping our overall tax levy lower now than it has been over the last 5 years. We do that while still bringing in a balanced budget and funding for Greenprint and Rosewood. So, any questions for Director Curtis on this? Okay, could I get a motion?
Go ahead.
So moved.
Second.
Motion to second, debate. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Bernstein.
Aye.
Commissioner Flores Weiskopf.
Aye.
Vice President Ruttenberg.
Aye.
President Myers.
Aye, motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, I should also point out that we have done this while also maintaining our credit rating at
Yes.
AAA.
Yes.
And our superior programming and facilities.
So,
And safety.
And safety.
And on a side note, we discussed this last week, to a home that's valued at $500,000, the increase is $14.
Yes.
good work, everyone. Oh, and as we also talked about, we've managed to invert the percentage that is from tax revenues versus from programs. So right now we are primarily self-funded, meaning that our operations, our programs, our camps, the things that we charge user fees for, make up a larger percentage of our budget than do the tax revenues. So that is a nice place for us to be.
That's the first time that's happened since I've been on the board.
I think for me
That's
as
definitely
well.
a strong operational move.
And as we always say, the Park District is only as strong as our management team and our staff. So our sincere thanks to all of you for helping get us there. I have a feeling you have something else to tell us about.
Yeah.
How about the next item, which would be the 2016 Budget and Appropriation Ordinance?
Also, at the November 10th workshop, the 2016 budget was presented to the Board of Commissioners, and attached for the budget review is the corresponding 2016 Budget and Appropriation Ordinance number 15-12 for the Park District of Highland Park. By approving this document, the district will be able to make the document available for public review for 30 days as required by law. As requested by the Board of Commissioners, copies of the 2016 budget and the ordinance both will be available at each facility, the district's website, and the Highland Park Library. On December 17th, the Board of Commissioners will then conduct a hearing to provide interested residents with the opportunity to comment on the budget and related ordinance. Immediately following the hearing, the Board of Commissioners will vote on whether or not to accept the 2006 Budget and Appropriation Ordinance number 1512. So basically what we're doing is following the state statute that says we have to have the budget open, lay the budget open for 30 days. And that is beginning, the counting of that begins tonight, and then with the approval at the December board meeting, it will have met that 30-day requirement. So staff requests the Board of Commissioners provide consensus to lay down the draft 2016 budget and appropriation ordinance for a period of 30 days in accordance with legal requirements.
Excellent. I'll call for a motion in a second. Any questions?
I just want to point out that we've had a thorough voting of this budget with the Finance Committee and also at our workshop. So even though there's no presentation tonight, we've heard it several times, and this is something that we've been actively reviewing. And again, it's another document that we're very proud of, the fact that our staff has put this together, which will provide that the Park District will be able to still provide all its programming and maintain its facilities. Yet at the end of the year, I think we will be in the black, slightly a little bit of money at the end of the year. So it's a good budget, and it's consistent with what we've done in the years past.
That's a very good point. I always find the process when we get here seems so anticlimactic, given how much work goes into the process to get to this point. In fact, maybe, Leslie, do you want to just take a minute to talk about the process that led us here? I think you got a good overview from Commissioner Bernstein, but it starts with you and your team and your staff working with Director Curtis, gathering the data that goes to the budget, to the Finance Committee. Can you
Yes.
just give people an
Yeah,
idea of
sure.
how we are here today?
Well, let's start with the fact that this was the first year that we have a 12-month budget that ended in sync with the calendar. That was a key, because one of the things we had an April 1 through March 31 fiscal year, But as you all know, we do all of the tax levy work in October, November, and December. And for reasons, logical reasons, the board said, let's convert to a fiscal year, calendar year, which makes a lot of sense. And so we evaluated it from a staff perspective because, as you know, we have operations that run year-round, we have operations that are seasonal, but when you really line everything up, particularly with the fact that the tax levy is done now, it seemed backwards to be budgeting after the tax levy was approved. So that process started, 2014 was our 9-month budget.
Correct.
2015, the fiscal year that we're ending now, is our first 12-month budget. But the actual process begins back for the staff. I think we had our budget workshop at one of our supervisory meetings. We try not to do it in the height of summer. So I think we started really end of July, early August in terms of talking about budget considerations, and Annette prepares a whole presentation and a workbook for the staff, provides, she and her staff are available for training. And so all of the different divisions go to work on their budgets, and then we have a series of internal meetings, starting with supervisory staff up through the department heads, Kathy, Annette, myself, to get a budget that we believe is presentable to the finance committee. So that takes us a couple of months, and then we have a finance committee to review the budget. Before the finance committee reviews the budget, one of the other items that we've adjusted along the way is that we have been working, we now have a 5-year capital plan as opposed to a 1-year capital plan. You know, we had our replacement programs and whatnot, but the capital plan is reviewed before the budget is presented to the finance committee at that meeting for review. So we have agreed on capital expenditures for the year. And so our process really now, I think it makes a lot of sense. We talk about capitals with the board. We actually talked about capitals with the finance committee and then with the board. And then we talked about the budget with the finance committee and then at the workshop with the board. And subsequently, we then went into the levying exercise, which we're going through now, which was also tied in with the budget. Now we have the opportunity for the community to review the budget at all the places that Annette referred to.
At every facility, yes.
And then we will have a hearing on December 17th, and then you all will approve the budget, we hope, and we will move on to the next year. So I think that gives you a pretty...
And other than that, it's easy, right?
We're all very happy when it's over.
Well, I would like to ask also that maybe we should show the tie-in between the budget and the tax levy. So either of you want to address?
Oh, well, they're totally intertwined because I'm preparing the levy and the budget at the same time, and so we look at it together and we can kind of anticipate what the levy is going to be following the PTEL regulations and everything. So we kind of know, we learn that piece through the process, and then we're able to budget to support that. Or vice versa, whichever way you want to look at it, because we're really working on, it's kind of going down two roads, parallel roads at the same time, trying to get to the same point. So in the end, both your levy and your budget are completed at the same time, and they mesh together.
And that related, excuse me, to the small increase of 1.74% in the tax levy.
Yeah, well, we're pretty locked on that with
Yeah,
the
we're locked on
CPI
that.
And then special rec, so, and it's nice because we know what the dollar amount is going to be in terms of tying it in with the budget. So it makes a lot of sense to have the levy for corporate and for recreation determined while you're doing your budget.
I suspect the point that Commissioner Rumber was trying to make, and correct me if I get this wrong, was that from the board's perspective, philosophically, our objective is not to see how much we can spend and how many tax dollars we can raise to do it, but rather to work backwards from our needs. What do we project needing for the upcoming fiscal year, budgeting for that, and then coming up with the appropriate revenue sources, whether that's operational or from the tax levy, being very sensitive to the burden of the tax on the community.
Right.
So it really is working backwards from the objective of meeting the needs of the community rather than working prospectively to figure out how much we can raise taxes.
Yeah, and that's changed a lot with PTEL because there was a day when if you were allowed to levy a percentage that was greater than the CPI, people would levy the percentage and not really look at the dollars. And so this process, along with property tax legislation, it really dictates what you can do, but we aren't just trying to get everything we can. We're very careful in our budgeting, just in terms of keeping our expenses as low as possible and our revenues, trying to look at all different sources, recognizing that tax dollars are what they are, and we're trying to be prudent as we can.
Well said. All right, any other questions or comments? Okay, I don't know that we technically need a motion, but we can just err on the side of caution. A motion to lay down the draft 2016 budget and appropriations ordinance for a period of 30 days in accordance with legal requirements.
So moved.
Second.
Well, might as well call,
You can do a voice if you
Aye.
like to call the roll, whichever you prefer.
let's call the roll since it is a pretty significant issue.
Commissioner Bernstein?
Aye.
Commissioner Flores Weiskopf?
Aye.
Vice President Rundberg?
Aye.
President Myers?
Aye. Ayes have it, motion carries. Please lay down the draft 2016 budget in accordance with applicable legal requirements.
Thank you.
And one more thing, while we have you in the hot seat, would you mind giving us our treasurer's report, please?
No, I'll be very happy to.
Let me rephrase.
Yeah.
Please give us our treasurer's report.
But I do have a piece of kind of bad news. It finally happened in the beginning of the year with Kemper coming on board with the Highland Park Country Club. I had said it is possible that we would have a month where their financial information was not provided in a timely fashion. And with this board meeting being moved up a week, this is the month that it first happened. So when you're looking at the treasurer's report, the October's treasurer's report does not include October financial information for the country club. And I did check earlier today, and that information should be provided by the end of the week. So,
All right, can you just give us an update when that comes in?
Yes.
Liza, you'll circulate the updated
Yeah.
financials,
Yeah,
and if
so-
there's a need to meet again, we'll call a special meeting, but
Not
I
the
sus-
worst news.
no, it's not the worst news.
Yes,
not
perhaps-
at
I
all.
was like waiting for
we
something.
we can
No.
find different ways to
No.
start that conversation.
They were really on a roll, but I feel like since we moved the meeting up a week, that threw their whole process off, so.
Well, can you just update us at our workshop meeting in December? Okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
The bulk of the property taxes have been collected through September and October. So the total collections at the end of October were $10.3 million, and that's about 97% of the budget. So we have two more payments scheduled during 2015, one in November and one in December. So I'm feeling that we'll again reach that collection rate of a 98%, which historically has been at what our collection rate has been.
We don't do
So-
our own collections, right? I mean, we have no control over the collection.
We
right?
have
That comes
absolutely no
from the
control
state.
over the collections, and
counties.
I have no control over the dollar amount that receive.
You're not going door to door.
No, there's nothing that I can do about it. I'm just happy that we're back in that 97 percentile again, so. And the only other comment that I'd like to make, and it's just kind of an FYI, the debt certificate payments for 2000, or the debt certificate payments related to the 2012 and 13 issuance are scheduled for December 15th. So when you're looking at the treasurer's report, keep that in mind when you're looking at both the general and the recreation fund. Payments total $1.5 million, and the monies will come from operations. So there'll be a transfer from the general and the rec fund to support the debt service payments. So the principal retirement for during 2015 is $1.1 million, and we'll also be making a 6-month interest payment of $189,000. We made the first payment in June. So that's all I really have. I feel like our projected year-end numbers that we discussed in October are still pretty much on.
Great. Questions from the board? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank
Nice
you.
report.
Thank you.
Safe to say the December Country Club financials will be late as well, because the meeting was moved up a week.
Understood.
That and nothing in December is a final year-end number. Let me just state
Yeah,
that right
that's
now.
true.
We kind of hold December open as expenditures, especially anything that is paid on a credit card or late invoices come in through January. So that
So
always.
you mean December 32nd?
Yeah, right. That's exactly what we
So
need,
your
yeah.
December treasurer's report will come in January.
Exactly.
Okay.
Well, maybe even February, but
We'll see.
Yes. A lot of good collections coming on December 32nd. Okay. New business. Director's report.
Just a couple of things to note in the director's report. For those of you know, we celebrate Thanksgiving next week, and if some of you wish to work off your turkey, you can go over to Centennial and have a Thanksgiving skate from 7:30 to 9:30 p.m. if you so choose. The ever-popular Polar Express takes off on the weekend of December 5th, and all of our trains are sold out. And just a reminder that camp registration began on November 5th, and it will continue through May and maybe June. It seems a long way away, but we're having good activity. We've moved up our registration to be more in sync with when the camp brochure actually comes out. And so it's too early to tell if this will pay dividends, but we have had good activity, and you'll learn just a little bit more about that in just a minute. And winter registration began on November 12th, so for those of you looking for activities for the summer and the winter, check out our website, which is a good segue to, we have, as you know, at a lot of our regular meetings, we invite staff to come and talk about season-end activities or different programs or what's going on in the world of anything recreation and facility-oriented. And tonight, we have Liz Gagola and Emily Byang from the Communications Department. It was just over 6 months ago that you approved, or well, actually it was longer than that, but our new website was launched in April of 2015. And the activity on the website has been incredible. And it is so incredible that it was worthwhile to have Emily and Liz come and give you an overview of what's happening and the tracking that we're able to do in terms of our new website, along with some social media initiatives that we are undertaking. And when we were talking about their presentation earlier today, I said to them, I said, this takes me back. It was 2010, 2011 when we were first talking about updating our website. And we talked about having the Highland Park High School come and do the website. I believe, Scott, you might have been at
That was my very first board meeting I ever attended, sitting in the audience.
Yeah, and I thought about that.
And I came back. It was amazing.
Yeah, and I looked, so we launched the website back in, it must have been 11 or 12, and quickly they become outdated. So these two were really the force behind the new website, and it really is something when you learn, well, they'll share with you what's happening. So without further ado, I will turn it over to Liz and Emily.
Good evening. Good evening. So as Liza said, on April 23rd, the Park District launched the new pdhp.org. Since its launch, the number of people visiting the site has increased by 172%, and the number of new users to our website has nearly doubled. We are excited to give you an inside look at a brief inside look at the analytics of pdhp.org, our new digital brochure, and some of our social media presence. And so Liz will take over from here.
So what we're going to do is show you our actual analytic tool that we use pretty much on a daily basis. There are two lines, squiggly lines at the top. The first line, the blue line, is all of the analytic information from the new website, from the day it launched on April 23rd through today's date. And then the orange line is the analytic information from the old site during the same period last year. So the first statistic I want to go through is the number of sessions. The number of sessions has increased by almost 57% from this year during the same period compared to last year. A session is actually a point in time when someone is engaged in our website. So if you go log on to the website and you're looking at some information either on the homepage or you're going to another page, that's considered a session. The number of users has increased, as Emily said, by over 172%. That's Right now, we're seeing for this year on the new site, over 88,000 compared to just shy of 33,000 during the same period of time last year. And a user is anyone who is just coming to our site. So that's a huge increase. Our page views has also gone up. A page view is just that. It's a page that someone has viewed on the site. That's gone up just under 31%, from 305,000 to just shy of 400,000 with the new site. Now, the number of pages per session has gone down, and that's actually a good statistic. What that means is that the new site is easier to navigate. People can get to the information they're looking for easier. It also shows that we are really maximizing the opportunities that we have available to us through our email blasts and through social media, that we can provide direct links to a specific piece of information that someone's interested in. So that's a good statistic to go down a little bit in our pages per session. The other statistic I want to show you is the percentage of new sessions. We have increased just shy of 100% in new visitors coming to our website. If you look at the pie chart, the green section is the new website's performance. We have over 47% of our visitors are brand new to our website, compared to our old site, which is just shy of 25%. So we're really drawing a lot more traffic of new people to our site. And this is primarily because the new website is searchable. Our old site was not searchable, which means if you were to go on the new site and just put in tennis lessons or swimming lessons or fitness programs, our site wouldn't have come up before. Now it's coming up, and it's coming up high in the search, and we're drawing new people to our site. The next statistical information I want to show too is how our new website has really increased our mobile traffic. If you remember when we launched the new website, it was based on a responsive design, which means no matter what size screen you're using, it will adjust itself appropriately so it's easier to see. It doesn't just smush itself. So, and this is a huge number, our mobile traffic to our site has increased over 1,000%. We, on our old site, had just over 7,500 visitors who came to us via mobile, and on our new website, we have over 85,000 visitors that are utilizing mobile technology. So people are using their mobile phone to visit our site and to get the information that they're looking for.
This is 6 months.
In 6 months.
Yeah, but to be fair, half of that's Barney trying to make.
Always on the go.
For the ice skating Thanksgiving event.
Does Barney have a phone?
The other two.
Yeah, but I couldn't bring it, the cord's not long enough.
The other interesting information is that we also can find out what technology they're using, meaning we know that the majority of the mobile traffic is coming through iPhones. We can even get down to the actual model of, like, you know, a Samsung phone, which
That
is
is
a little
both
scary,
fascinating
but
and terrifying at the same time.
I know. Big
A
Brother
lot of people
is
named
watching.
Kevin for some reason.
Our desktop traffic has gone down slightly, and our tablet traffic has also gone down slightly. The next statistical information I want to show too is how are people getting to us. The organic search has increased again, you know, over 45%.
What's that mean, organic search?
Organic search means that, again, people are just typing in, you know, whatever subject matter, general piece of information that they're interested in, and we're coming up through organic search.
Okay.
They're finding us through organic search. Direct search is when you go in and you put in pdhp.org. A referral is coming from another source, like an email. And then, Emily, if you scroll down just a little bit more, then we also have our social, and that has increased by about 165%, almost 166%, and that primarily is through Facebook, Twitter, some of our other social medias that we use. And then for social, this just gives you a little bit more input. Our Facebook traffic has increased over 300%. During the same period of time last year, we only had about 453 visits to our site via Facebook, and because we've really increased our Facebook presence and how we're utilizing Facebook, that's increased to just shy of 2,000.
Do you know that there's a review of Rosewood Beach on Yelp?
Yes, there is. Yelp is a pretty good social network.
I believe they thought it was sandy.
Good sand, right?
Yes, good sand. The other thing I wanted to show you too is, and this is a section that we use almost on a daily basis. You know, we're always promoting different activities and things are seasonal, and you know, this gives us a really good view of our promotions and the programs that we're promoting. Are we pulling the traffic that we need to for those types of programs? So if you look at this, you can see that over 5,500 visits were directly to our fitness pool at the rec center. We have a lot of people going to the ice center page because this is the time when people are skating and kids are getting involved in hockey again. Our youth sports, especially basketball, that is really highly visited on our site. Programs is another area of our site that people are going to quite frequently right now because we're in a registration period for winter. Our camps also is another area of our website that's getting visited frequently. And if you see too on number 12, the green print plan, because that was just rolled out a couple of weeks ago, that was also a high traffic page on our site.
Where's our budget? Our financial information?
It is on the website.
Yeah, I know, but I know I've seen it. Where's it on the list? Or is it even on the list?
Well,
It
depends.
probably is.
It is on the list, but it depends on how many visits went to the budget.
I cannot believe that is not at the top 5.
I know, exactly. Or financial.
I don't know.
The park board is number,
Yeah.
what
Yes.
number are we?
Do you know
Lot
how
of
many
interest in the
accountants we
park.
have in Highland Park? I would have thought for sure that would have made top 10.
Wait,
Your
what-
board meetings, right here, 374
74, wow.
in the
Visits.
past month.
Yes.
In the past month?
This is all statistics from the past month.
This is just from the past month.
Wow.
Because these are all the things that we're promoting this month, and that's why we wanted to kind of show you this.
And actually, the park board itself, just to your page specifically, your biographies and kind of your information, 488?
468.
Wow.
visits.
That was just 1 month?
In just 1 month,
And there's 372 people visited baseball in October?
yes,
Wow. That's interesting.
yes. So this really gives us a good view at any, like I said, any point in time. You know, are we pushing things, and are our pushes really working? Are people getting to the information that we want them to get
Can
to?
you tell which of our bios is being clicked on the most?
I cannot tell that right now.
There is.
I bet you too, Scott.
Yeah, my
I'll take a wild
In
guess.
the category of, who is this guy?
So
We would need a special URL for that.
ask
I
you
would
We're all
think-
equal, right?
Can I ask a question about Recreation Center of Highland Park?
Mhm.
There's, 5,000 hits or visits in a month. Can we track that to the point of saying people want to know the fitness schedule, or can we get down to that kind of level?
Yeah, and actually, if you look right there on number 8, where the pointer is, that's the group exercise schedule. So they're just shy of 1,100 people just in the last month who've clicked on that. And that's the group
Wow.
X schedule.
And
So
that
if-
would be in addition, I'm sorry to interrupt, that'd be in addition to the RC beat that they put out telling you the
Yes.
schedule changes. So
Yes.
this is this is over and above that. Thank you.
Do you mind scrolling from 1 all the way down? I'm just curious to
Sure.
look at it again, because I think you control it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. There are hundreds and hundreds of pages.
Yeah, so I mean, we could go
Just go like
through
1
this
through
all night
20.
if you want.
Let's do like 1 through 25. I just want to look at it.
What he's really looking for is the budget.
Oh, okay. I mean,
I'm just curious how many people.
Is this something the board would like included in our monthly board package?
Yeah, I'd love to get.
Is there a concise version of this you could send us?
I do provide kind of the top 10 or top 12 in every board report, but
So
I
the-
can.
No, I'm talking about the full, the more expanded version of it.
Yeah. To what number would you want to, because there's maybe 500 pages.
Less than that.
Maybe we can test.
The
a
top
couple-
Why don't
100
you all-
maybe, or,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, why don't you
Yeah.
play with it a
Yeah,
little
we'll
bit and
test
see?
Absolutely. All right, so now I'm going to turn it over to Emily, and Emily is going to talk a little bit about our new digital brochure, and she's going to be specifically focusing on our camps brochure and how we're getting analytic information on that, and then also to give you a preview of the new camps brochure as well.
So this past year, we got a new digital brochure software, and it's great because we're able to get these analytic results. And so what you're seeing here are these similar to what we just saw for the website, but this is specifically for the digital camp brochure. So as you can see, this is since it was uploaded, but October 26th is the high spike, and that's when we sent out an email with the actual digital brochure link in it to our email database. So that is when people first got their first look at it, right before the brochure even hit the mailboxes. So that was their first glance at it. And then you'll see that November 4th and 5th, we also had another spike. Of course, that's when camp registration began. And since putting it on the web, we've had, you can see the views, 1,041 views. And then a really great number to look at is the average session duration. So this is how long people are spending on the camp brochure, and that's over 6 minutes they're spending with this camp brochure. So that means they're really looking at it, they're engaging with it, and a big portion of that is because this software, we're able to add a lot of different things that make it really dynamic, and we'll show you that a bit later. So scrolling down, we can see a lot of different things where people are viewing us from, where they're coming from, again, referral traffic. They're spending more time with this, so we're seeing that desktop sessions have increased, and those are the most because of people spending time with it, wanting it on a larger platform. And then if we scroll down, again, similar to how we had it for the website, we have currently 34 clicks, and these clicks are on links that are taking them directly to the specific registration page. So it's safe to say that these people have gotten to the point where they can register for that, for a specific camp program. So again, really neat. We can see how many people are looking at which camps are most popular. So from here, we'll go ahead and I'll show you the camp brochure, the online version, the digital version. So this is it. And if you click through it, it's similar to a real magazine. It flips through, it makes the noise even. And one of the cool things about this is that we're able to embed videos within it. So this past summer, we went out and we got testimonials from parents and campers while they were in camps. And so what we'll do is we'll show you one of the camp testimonials from a parent from this summer.
My child is so confident from the first day of camp she cries on the last day of camp because she's so sad it's over and she has to wait a whole nother school year. She goes to school and she's just not always, most of the time, happy to be there. And it's a long day for her and it's school. And she comes here and she's just happy. She's happy, she's confident. I always say when she's at Spotlighter, she dresses to stand out. And she's confident in who she is here and her abilities to do all the activities and excel in the activities, whether it's swimming at the water park or dancing in the studio. Her confidence just goes up when she's here.
So those are spread throughout the camp brochure. We have more parents. We also have campers, so we caught them during their activities during the day, telling us a little bit about what they like most about camp, and just a kind of fun story. So again, it makes it really personal with our customer and showing them, what we can offer them and their kids for summer.
Are you tracking how many times people actually press the play button?
We can, yeah. We have, these are embedded through YouTube, so we can go on our YouTube channel and see how many people have actually viewed it.
If I wanted to register for a program on this page, am I able to
Yes.
click right here and it links it, or
All
whatever
of
the words are?
Yeah, all of our brochures include links directly to that specific barcode, that specific section. So
If you see here where the pointer is, that if we clicked on that, that would take you directly to our registration site and to that program, so you could register right away
Wow.
from there.
We've come a long way.
Yes.
Really have.
And that's
It's
for all of our
amazing.
brochures, not just camp, but we have that for our winter brochure
This
as
is
well.
amazing.
And that was the statistic,
Technology is unbelievable.
it is. That was the statistic on the analytic, that we can go and see what programs people are clicking on to the registration page most.
And actually signing up.
We can get it as far as them clicking to the registration.
No,
page.
I meant,
Yeah,
but-
yeah.
We're assuming.
I'm saying a little
They
bit-
are, yeah.
No, I'm saying a little bit differently. If I went through this and I saw the program and we're excited about it, right here, I can click to the link and sign up immediately.
Yes.
Yes. And then our last thing, we're just going to quickly go over our Facebook page. We've really put a lot of effort into this page, and we've doubled our likes on our Facebook page since this time last year. So we're really using it as a advertising platform. We've seen that our target audience is still on Facebook and growing. Our target audience, the 35 and up crowd, are really on Facebook. It's becoming more popular. And you'll see here we have a lot. We try to get to know our customers. We engage with them. We share articles that we know that they'd be interested in, as well as promoting our program. So really having that relationship with them and having them get to know us and us to get to know them. So again, you'll see we have everything from our Healthy for the Holidays just kicked off, our social media campaign that just kind of gives people kind of an extra push to get into their holiday workout routine, and that will lead us into Body Transformation Challenge in January. So again, we're doing a lot with it. We really are proud of it, and it's we think that it's an accurate description of us as a district. So in closing, as you can see, we've grown our web presence incredibly over the past year, and especially since the launch of our new website. And we are easier to find, easier to navigate, and we are giving our customers the best user experience we can, getting them the information they desire fast. So we hope to grow these numbers in the rest of the year, and we thank you for your time. And if you guys have any additional questions.
Everybody should like us on Facebook,
Yes,
right?
Yes,
please,
please
like
do.
us.
I was thinking technology never sleeps either.
It doesn't. It changes.
And I think our Facebook page is, I like how, again, we put articles in and pictures from recent events, but what I find the most helpful is when it'll come up in my news feed, and we always do a reminder of whatever event is coming up, and that's what it grabs me. It's enough time, it's a few days where you can go, oh, I wanted to go to that. Because sometimes, we look through the brochure or whatever, and the event's a month or two away, and you circle it but forget about it. So the reminders I find are especially helpful, and I have to imagine other parents, like that. So.
There's also statistical information out that we always kind of track that tells you the best day to post something on Facebook that people are most likely to look at, and the best day to send out an email blast. And we always try to kind of follow those standard rules to make sure that we're maximizing. It's just based on time of day and what day of the week that you send them out.
It's great. Very good.
Just amazed.
It is. The world has moved quickly.
I'm going to need a longer cord for my phone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great presentation. Thank you.
Very helpful.
All right. Any other new business? I don't see any on the agenda, so that would bring us to public comment.
Before we, I have two comments
Sure.
about the director's report. Number one, I'm encouraged looking at the Sunset Valley numbers, considering that doesn't include November. We've had a lot of golfers out there, but I think right now we're either at or above what we were for the entire year last year. So I'm looking forward to seeing what our November, and hopefully we'll have some golfing days in December also, which I think would be great for the bottom line. And the other thing, and what made me think about this, is that I noticed in your director's report you mentioned that the amount of time for open gym is down because of we're guilty of our own success there. And in the spirit that we are re-executing the intergovernmental agreement tonight, is there any thought been given to maybe having some open gym hours in a school? Then, therefore, it's not competing with our programming that we have going at the rec center, because we only have 2 gyms. And one of the things that I hear from parents all the time, especially when there's either snow days or days off from school, that there's nowhere for the kids to go in the winter. And open gym, I mean, I've always been a big proponent of open gym, so if there's something we can work out with the school district to try to create that opportunity, then it's not competing with our programming. We're not worried about a lack of open gym under those scenarios.
I'm certain that we can look into that.
And then if we get that word out through our Facebook page and other places, then parents will know that there's a place for their kids to go when there's no school.
Yeah, and the other soon-to-be available facility to us is District 113. And when their new gyms are open and for the public, we have a similar relationship with them that we do with 112. And I think that we will be finding more, certainly on the weekend, on Sundays, I think that that's a prime time for our using that space. So there may be some shifting we can do, but we can look in, we can take into account everything that we have and see what we can do. And we do also try and amp up open gym during holidays.
We're going to have programming during those periods, so we have the capacity. I'm more concerned about January, February, March, where there's sometimes the kids have half days and things like that.
We also have the week of Thanksgiving. The Highland Park schools are closed. At least the middle schools are closed the entire week. So whatever we can do to give parents some opportunities, I think would be appreciated. Okay. Any other comments on the director's report? Great. So that would bring us to public comment. If anyone would like to address the board on any topic, feel free to raise your hand, state your name for the record.
We're on tape tonight. By the microphone. Yeah.
Name, address, serial number.
I'm Rick Heineman, 1449 Glencoe Avenue in Highland Park. Last week, I had an opportunity to come in and make some comments, and then I got a lot of questions, so I talked about 10 times longer than I'd planned to, which was great. But there's a few comments that I wanted to make in addition to what I said last week regarding the difference, some what I think are very important points. First off, the mission statements of 112 and the Park District are significantly different. The Park District has, a very well-defined mission having to do with availability for the kids and helping people out and open space and a lot of things like this. And because of your financial position, you really are able to deliver on those objectives very, very well. Part of which you've heard about tonight. The school district, on the other hand, their mission is entirely focused on providing world-class education for the students, and while at the same time doing it in a taxpayer-friendly manner. The thing is, though, is that because of some particular situations and how they spent their money in the 90s, they're now in a terrible financial position, and that mission, if you will, is at risk. And that's why they're talking about the referendum, because they'd like to get out of that situation. So the next thing I want to talk about is the idea of how this relates then to the difference between properties remaining in the public sphere versus being sold to developers. Now, specifically, I'll try to draw some examples having to do with Green Bay, but we're also talking about Lincoln and Elm Place. And potentially other properties. Now, Cal, of course, knows about 1 billion times more about this than I do, so I would encourage him to speak up if appropriate, in a polite way.
We'll beg him to do that.
That's right. But as we know with the tax cap, and we've talked about that some tonight and quite a bit last week, the way the tax cap works is you take your prior year levy, you can increase it by, at a maximum, the amount of, by inflation, which this year is 0.8%. And then, once that's done, you also get the benefit, given that tax rate, against any new property, new development. We're very familiar with that here. I can tell you, though, the city council is not that familiar with this concept, but because they're home rule. But we know all about that in the organizations that are subject to the tax cap. So what that means is that from the perspective of people who are in significant financial distress, whether something goes on the tax rolls or not makes a big difference. So if we, again, it's also with Lincoln and Elm Place, but if we look at Green Bay, that's, I believe, zoned RM2, which means you can put, I think, about 104 housing units. I did the math. Who knows if I'm right or not, but a significant amount of housing units. So you can end up with a building that's worth quite a lot of money if it's condos, maybe 30, 40 million. Does that make any sense? But that could generate maybe $1 million in tax revenue. Okay? And they were talking about $1 million in tax revenue potential with the Highland Park Theater. So this money, because of the way the tax cap works, is incremental to the taxing authorities that are subject to the tax cap, if you choose to levy it. But we certainly know the 112 would, because they desperately need the money. So if it's $1 million in property taxes, that's $380,000 of incremental revenue to 112. Your incremental revenue would be $70,000. So if you then that revenue after that year then is enrolled into the levy, so it can then, because it's part of the levy, can increase at the rate of inflation. So that $380,000 could be $10 million at the end of 20 years. That's a lot of money, okay? The difference between, again, that being sold to a developer versus what it would be if it was still in public hands. For you, it would be $1.8 million. Not chicken feed, not as much as for the school district, but still real money. So that's one of the reasons why I think the school district is questioning whether it's a great idea to necessarily keep these things in public hands versus selling them to developers. Now, Green Bay is worth way more than Elm Place because of zoning. Green Bay has pretty good zoning. Elm Place is terrible zoning. So it's worth way less money because you can put much less development on it. Though one thing that you could theoretically do is if, say, the Park District and the school board went to the city and said, you know what, there's this problem that we share in the school district needs revenue, and it impacts things that are happening and negotiating between the two organizations. Can we change the zoning of Elm Place to make it worth more money? Not just in terms of assessed value, but also in terms of the potential tax revenue from any building that could happen on that. So again, that's just sort of another point of information, if you will. Personally, I want both organizations to meet their missions. Okay? That's important to me because I'm a citizen of this community for 35 years. It's just something I care about. I think, though, you guys are in a much better position to do that because of your financial position than the school district is. So I'm probably, so I'm not entirely neutral, if you will, to be honest, because I think they need the help more. But that being said, I think I really want everybody to fulfill their missions. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else care to speak? Any topic? Yes, please.
Okay, my name's Danny Weil. I live at 1808 Old Briar Road, about a half mile down the road. Normally, I actually, if I'm going to speak like this, I would have prepared remarks, and I don't. So I'll try and keep this all together and hope to get this out right.
No worries.
I am coming here as a resident who, I'll admit, had the idea of sending a letter to you, Scott, and the board last week, though I did not pen the letter.
Which topic?
The topic was to implore you to work out some way of communicating with the District 112 board.
Schools.
So,
Okay. Got it.
the purpose of this letter from my heart was to show that there are many, many people in the community that want to see this referendum go to ballot, and that feel that the proposed plan from District 112 cannot succeed without the support of the Park District. So I didn't really come here to say that's who I am. What I really did come here to say is thank you. Thank you to this board for hanging in there and for continuing to work at having a line of communication with the District 112 board. I can only imagine how difficult that can be with so many moving parts. But like I said, many people are supportive of this reconfiguration plan going to referendum. And despite what some may opine, many have concerns that that cannot be a realistic thing to consider and to vote on without the support of the Park District. So I just really wanted to come and let you know how much I appreciate it and many others appreciate that you're hanging in there and that it's not always easy to deal with other entity boards.
Well,
So
first,
any questions, fire away.
I actually do, if you don't mind.
Yeah,
I don't
please.
always do that, and perhaps you can give us some clarity. And this is a topic that we actually talked about last week to try and understand a little bit more about the status quo, and perhaps you have more information on this than we do. Yeah, as I think is a matter of public record, as part of the conversations that we had been having, it was our understanding that, in fact, District 112 did not need Westridge for their plans, that they had ways of doing this without Westridge and without the involvement of the Park District, that really this was just, I think the phrase was elbow room, and that the initial plans had not contemplated Park District property. So it sounds like from what you're saying, you perhaps are hearing something different, so I really genuinely would like to understand
Sure.
what the reality here is.
So to give you some context as to who I am, I was a member of Dr. Balo's CFAC, and I specifically was on the Finance Committee. I've had various involvements in working with District 112 for many years and was honored to be asked to apply, and I did. It was quite a sacrifice, but it was a heck of an education. To get into an answer to your question, I mean, I think that at this point it would be, it would probably have to fall into the basket of one's opinion. But I can tell you this, that from the moment that the concept was introduced to me as a CFAC member of the middle school campus, I don't ever recall a time or a conversation where it was suggested that this could happen without the Westridge space being part of the campus.
Were you involved during the conversations about Olson Park?
I was not actively involved in that process. I was not. I understood what I believe to be genuine efforts. I mean, I will tell you this: good, bad, or indifferent, styles of communication, styles of negotiation. The District 112 board, in my humble opinion, is a coming together of people that may not always get along, but have the same true interest in heart. Number one, the mission statement, and number two, finding the best solution for the best quality education that our community can have. And I will say, as an aside, I believe that the proposed plan, so long as it includes the Westridge property, is an incredible opportunity for our community and for our children. First and foremost, it starts with education, lots of challenges, big challenges. I live a half mile down the road. I am in this neighborhood, and many others that put their names on that letter do live in this neighborhood. We all want to see this happen, but we want to see it happen the right way. We want to see this as a community process. We want to see this happen with the joint hard work of the Park District Board, of the city, of the school board, and the community if the voting public favors it. It cannot happen without everybody working together to make it happen. But it's obviously a big change in flow of people coming in and out to one particular area of the town. But it also requires green space. And I know how important green space is to the Park District. The Olson Park exercise, as I understood it, was a genuine effort. And this is why I said that these are good people on this board really trying to do the right thing. There was pushback. They'd made the decision not to put the referendum on the ballot in November. They made a genuine effort to open it up to many people that showed up out of the woodwork after years of us being as transparent as possible from CFAC and announcing to the community what was going on and what the options were. There were efforts made by the Park District by the school district to the community to come back with their own suggested plans. And many of those suggested plans were just not workable. 90% of them were actually scenarios that had already been vetted. But there were recognized opportunities to relook at a two-middle school campus. And there were a lot of members from the community, as I understand it, that were asking, why not Olson Park? And so my understanding, and again, I was not actively involved, but through those months that was being done, the message that my interpretation of the exercise was that they were ruling out something that they had already concluded wasn't workable, but needed to genuinely show that to the community. A lot of community members have pushed the board to show detail after detail example of why option X won't work, or why option Y won't work. And sometimes they just don't have enough of that detail on paper to really prove that it was properly vetted. And I think that was what was happening there. But then, again, that's my opinion.
And so you don't recall seeing options during your involvement that had solutions that did not involve Park District green space that you recall?
Once it got down to, because when, the options that we were looking at really came down to, frankly, the very end of a 3-year-long process. So a lot of work was put into this.
Oh, without a doubt. And you can appreciate the reason we're asking.
Yeah.
I mean, we only know what we are told. and what
I
we
can only
read,
say
so-
specifically to the current plan.
Right.
The current plan, the middle school campus plan, was never, as I recall, looked at to be successful without Westridge.
Okay. Well, it sounds like then we may need to get a little additional clarity on this topic, I'm sure. as
I just hope
everyone-
that you can find a way to hang in there and communicate. Just communicate and recognize that we're all in this together. And this, as my good friend Rick did point out, and it is very true, this is, District 112 has been managed as well as it can be. I'm very admirable of the current administration. Well said. I'm trying to be politically correct here. Okay. But I'll agree with Rick and say since 2005, it's been well run. And the board has really been vetted. I think we could talk about that too. I think it's important that you know that there wasn't, prior to 2008, for close to 10 years, there was no caucus process in this community to vet candidates for the school board. There's been a robust caucus each election. I will tell you that I chaired 2 of them. And again, while nobody's perfect, but it's very important to make sure that people that sit on park boards, on school boards, and on city councils know what they're getting themselves into and are prepared. And, I think that with the help of the community and community members in a caucus, that's happened. I think that this current board recognizes what we've all learned and what we studied deeply for arguably over 3 years, because there was an original CFAC that was convened by Dr. Balo in 2011 to set the plan. This school district has to reconfigure to survive. We've worked very, very, very hard to find feasible, workable options. This one makes a lot of sense when you really dig into it. And as residents of Highland Park, I encourage you, if you haven't, dig into it. Go to the meetings. Watch the presentations. Go online. Look at what this middle school campus would look like and how it would operate. It will not be a big, giant mega box. A friend of mine said to me today, we don't need a middle school Highland Park High School. I said it's going to be anything but, and it is going to be anything but it requires everybody to do a little homework and not just conclude that it's a bad idea because of scary comments. This is a huge deal. It can't happen without the Park District, in my humble opinion. So I really sincerely came here to say thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Thank you for your thoughts and comments. They are sincerely appreciated. Obviously, I mean, the Park Board appreciates the magnitude of this issue, the sensitivity of the topics, the importance of it to our community. Certainly, much of our thinking is informed by what we are told and what we read and what we independently investigate. And as I said, part of the analysis to date has been this notion that really the Park District is a nice to have, not a have to have. And if that turns out to not be the case, then that is certainly something we should
I'm not sure where that's coming from, but if I had to guess, maybe it was a really bad attempt at negotiation, because it's really foreign to me. What you're throwing at me, Mr. President, is a little foreign to me.
Understood.
I can't be more clear than that.
I hear you.
So.
Okay. Thank you for the insight. I appreciate it. Mr. Singer, I'm going to guess that you may have a different view on that topic.
Yes, I do.
Would you like to share that with us?
So I'm Hillel Singer. I live that way, a couple blocks from Westridge Park, which I've enjoyed my whole life. And I feel that that park should not be compromised in any way for the middle school. I feel that I really feel that Park District business is different from school board business, and I'm very confident that the referendum, when it goes to the ballot, and it will go to the ballot, despite what some people wrote in a letter that the Park District was preventing that from happening, will be decided on the merits, and they'll be decided pretty much on money. And whether Westridge Park is part of that plan, which it shouldn't be part of the plan, will be decided. The park shouldn't be the linchpin for that middle school. There are all levels of objections or questioning for the middle school plan, whether one middle school is warranted, whether two middle schools. Frankly, I think the referendum would pass if it'd almost be a slam dunk if they go with two middle schools. And, to put this on the Park District's shoulders, I think is unfair, it's unwarranted, and it has nothing to do with the referendum. And with regards to, I just read a commentary by one of the former co-chairmans of the committee you talked about, CFAC, who came out against the referendum, against the plan. And it had nothing to do with West Ridge. And you can't put a price on Westridge. And so for me, Westridge is not for sale. It's not for roads. It's not for berms. It's not for sound walls. And to me, it's a no-go. So, you got me, Mr. Park guy. You got people who think, you're going to have the anti-tax people who it doesn't matter what you throw on the ballot. They're not voting for it. They're maxed on the tax. And I think the school board should be worried about school board business and stay out of the parks and recreation business. And I don't think it's not up to the Park District to win the referendum. Obviously, if you feel that way, then there's something wrong with the plan. And I'm telling you, the worst thing that can happen is if it passes or fails by like 2%, then you got a whole fractured community. So, they should go with a referendum to the public that they can get 60% of the vote. It should be a slam dunk. And otherwise, you got a fractured community. That's all I have to say.
Okay. Good seeing you, Mr. Singer. Since we're on the topic, would anyone like to share some additional views? I'm certainly happy to hear from anyone who would like to. If you wouldn't mind, just because we're on camera, since this is a topic of interest to the community, let's make sure we capture it.
Debate.
Well, I'm not looking at it as a
I know.
debate.
I wanted
We're
to
trying
clarify
get
something because
information.
I sincerely appreciate your concerns and your comments, and I think that one of the big concerns that I have as a community member is, frankly, how much education people put themselves through before they make a decision, yes or no, and especially in something as significant as this potential referendum. So I had to say, and I was being very clear in speaking in my own personal opinion, I don't see this middle school campus option being viable without Westridge Park being part of it. I would want to expand and make sure that you understand that in my workings with the architects and engineers and the school board and the administration, the intent is to continue to have as much, if not more, usable green space, specifically ball fields. So, in other words, looking at what not only the needs for the school, but the needs for this community and the things that are important to this community, sans, unfortunately, this building, which would not really be our decision per se, but in terms of the green space use, one of the things that's very important to this community, and as a parent of two kids who are now in their teens, but we're toddlers here, the parks, the play lots, the sand lots, those outdoor living areas for the community. It's already been put in writing by the school district or the school board that has to remain for the community. So there are a lot of people that are opposed to this for various reasons, whether it is they don't want one middle school, or they don't like where it is, or what have you. Some of those folks have been very active in trying to gain attention to this and have frankly thrown out what I believe to be misleading statements. There's a lot of schematics going on. The macro comment that I make, I stand by. This cannot work without the use of the Westridge space. That said, that doesn't mean that the Westridge space should be diminished in terms of its importance of the uses of it, the fields, the green space, for this community. And I'm very, very confident that that would continue to be the case. So my feeling with all this is you bring up a very important challenge, a very important concern. Traffic flow is a very important concern. It's a huge concern. These things cannot become successful without the community involvement. The last thing I will say is I think that if a middle school campus, a 2 middle school campus option were viable, we wouldn't be having this conversation. The scenarios that were vetted and the scenarios that were looked at to get to where we are right now were voluminous. And not just by us resident CFAC members, but by the architects and the engineers as well. Every single building that the school district has was looked at and vetted, whether it could be an elementary school, a middle school, a K through 4, K through 5, 5 through 8, 6 through 8. This is the option that can really, really solve the puzzle, but most importantly, by providing potentially a grand slam in education, what is already a great school district in terms of output of education can become a lot better.
Let me do
that
this.
said, hold on, let me finish.
Let me orient this 1 second,
Sure.
because whether or not the consolidation, 2 middle schools,
Yeah.
1 middle school is a good idea, truly is beyond the purview
Right.
of this body.
But
We have
I was
no
going to the Park District
opinion of
space.
this. So
Yeah.
I will tell you that our concern from day one has been the impact of the school's proposal on Park District green space.
Yeah.
And so it really comes down to this. We all get this, right?
Mm-hmm.
The school district has a mandate. The Park District has a mandate. They are intersecting here in this building. And the challenge for all of us is to figure out how to manage those competing concerns.
Mhm.
That mandate does not cross over into whether or not consolidation is a good idea.
Mhm.
It's really not
Right.
something that we are going to consider.
Correct.
And the decisions that we make will not be based on whether or not we like this idea. The decisions that we make are going to be based on how does the school district's proposal impact what we are tasked to do and our duties to the community. Now, perhaps there's a way to bridge that gap, perhaps not. But if you are interested in engaging us in this conversation, I would say the focus needs to be on that issue and not whether or not this is a good idea.
No,
from an
and I
educational
apologize. What I was
perspective.
trying to get at was to respond to Mr. Singer's comment that if, I truly believe that if it were a viable option compared to what we're currently looking at, it would be on the table. That's the case. And that's also, I believe that, clearly there were other Park District spaces that were looked at that, were adjacent to school district spaces as well. I agree with you, and I would hope that if the Park District Board and the School District Board were able to continue to communicate and collaborate, that the two interests ought to be worked out. As a voter, I would want that to be the case. And maybe I'm closer to the plans than the average person, so I understand the importance of green space to the plan. Not many people do, and I don't think that can really get out there to the voting public without the two working together. So,
Valid points, both. And what I would say is, I think it's important for all of us to keep in mind from the Park District's perspective that it's not just preservation of green space, it's preservation of community access
Yeah.
to green space. And I
Well
think
said.
that is a
Yeah.
challenge that we will have to face head on.
all of us.
Yes, it is. That is
Yeah,
a very
it's-
hard issue. And
This is an important community issue,
agree.
all corners. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your clarification, because that's what's been bothering me all along. We're not responsible for what goes on in 112. We're only responsible in this room, how it affects the Park District and what the Park District wants to do. It's about time that we separate the issues. We are not responsible for what goes on in 112. We're only responsible for the Park District.
I think it's very clear in our minds, what you said is very clear in our minds. We understand that. We're not we're not evaluating any conversations that we've had with the school board on the basis of whether the option of 1 school, 2 schools, or 10 schools is the issue. It has nothing to do with us. Our mission statement is to provide recreational services and green space. This is a prime piece of green space with recreational services. And that's where we start and stop.
But people come in and talk about the responsibility toward 112, not the play school.
Mr. Singer, please.
Who's that woman that just talked?
It angers me.
Actually, I'm sorry your time's being taken up with this, but in response to the fine gentleman, my co-citizen of Highland Park, and talking about open space. And this has, again, first of all, I don't want at least 1 road and possibly 2 roads coming through Westridge Park. It's then not a park. The second thing is you talk about responsibility for open space, and I'll just say that middle school butchers that whole property. It takes up 40 acres of land. It's their land. They're welcome to develop it, but don't tell me they're keeping that open space.
Well, again, as Scott,
No,
I think
that's
as
it.
Scott said,
Okay.
we're not here to listen to
Right.
you guys
I'm sorry.
debating
I'm sorry.
whether something is good. No, don't apologize, but we're not
Right.
here to listen to
Absolutely
debate. As Mrs. Bernstein said, we have a mission,
Yes.
and where it intersects with the school districts, that's for our side and the school district to see if we can come to common terms.
Thank you.
And we understand our mission, and we understand the various views that you gentlemen are espousing, and again, we're very capable of separating whether it's a good plan or a bad plan.
I'm glad to hear that. Thank you.
Thank
And I'm
you.
sorry I got involved with that.
And I don't think we should have any more debate about this process.
You'll never hear from me again.
No, we will, but
Well, I do think that there is utility to hearing from the community on this topic. I prefer it be oriented to the issues that are on
Yes.
our radar rather than whether or not consolidation is good, bad, or otherwise. But from what I have seen and read and heard, there is some frustration on both sides of the issue as to being heard and listened to. So to the extent that we can provide an avenue for that, I think it is worthwhile, and I find it helps my thinking on the topic as well within reasons of time and focus. We will never make this decision based on whether or not consolidation is good or bad.
Right.
But I think we would all agree that where there are opportunities to work with our fellow governments to assist them in facilitating their mandate, we should try and be good partners with our governments to the extent it doesn't interfere with our own, and that's why this becomes a very complicated issue. It is, I wish it were as simple as this is them and this is us, but we're sitting in a building where that intersects. And as I said, a lot of my thinking on this topic had been predicated on this notion that we really were elbow room, we were not essential. And that may still be the case. I'm not saying that our thinking on that has necessarily changed, but I think we would all agree that if the inclusion of the Park District in any fashion is a necessity rather than a convenience, then that would at least cause us to have a conversation about how to address that necessity in a manner that is in the best interest of the entire community, because I think we would all also agree that regardless of which government entity we work for, we all work for the residents of Highland Park. And we need to make sure that whatever decisions we make are in the collective best interest as best we can. And we will continue to do that as best we can. Any other comments from the public?
On our district issue, if you don't mind.
If you don't, I'm going to let Barney loose.
Yeah. First of all, I think there's a 98% chance that they really need Westridge. I think it's unlikely that they would really be successful without it. Point one. Point two, green print 2024. If you look at the chart on what's going to happen with Westridge, there's a road through it. It connects to parking lots, but there is a road through it on the northern end of the property, if you look at the chart. And next, the board, the 112 board has a number of times talked in public about how they want to make sure that the Park District helps decide how this property is developed, but I am still of the opinion that they have inadequately communicated that, to put it politely, to the Park District. And so that is an issue that maybe, I don't know, Liza, maybe if you could reach out to them. We heard you said that you guys are going to help us define what this space looks like if you go ahead with this. Let's make that happen, because, it's a problem when they say it in public meeting, but don't actually communicate it to the Park District.
Thank you. Well, I think we would all agree that communication is an essential element of resolution. It's interesting that you mentioned green print. I mean, one of the related challenges we have as part of our mandate, if you look at our green print plan and hold up the picture that you just described and the drawings that we've seen from 112, they look very different and very hard to reconcile and very difficult to see how community access in one would be provided given the security concerns of the other. That doesn't mean it's impossible. It is a challenge. And it is something of which I think we are all acutely aware. So again, thank you for your insight on those issues and your thoughts on communication skills.
May I change the subject?
Please.
Liza went in front of the City Senior Advisory Group this past week to explain green print to the seniors and the direction that the Park District is taking, particularly for seniors, because that's what they're interested in. It was very impressive. There was a great deal of discussion after you left about what you had said, and it was amazing that the whole aura had changed. Everybody was so upbeat and very excited with what the Park District was doing. And I thank you, Liza, for a great presentation.
I knew I was going to get my grade tonight.
You really did a great job. I was so proud of you. Thank you. You're my child.
Can you share, if you could share a little more color with us on that? What is it that resonated with the group?
Well, because one of the things that the seniors are beginning to understand is that we may not have a dedicated senior center, because there are two proposals on the table. One is the community building, and the other is what's going on with green print. And is there a possibility for seniors to have a more active role within the Park District rather than just the city? And it came through loud and clear that whatever is going to happen isn't going to happen in the near future. And the people who were sitting at the table realized we probably won't be around when all of this takes place.
Don't say that.
Well, for your sake, I hope that's true.
She meant she's going to be in Florida.
Okay.
But the enthusiasm for the programs that the Park District has developed and is developing and looking toward the future was very exciting for all of us sitting at the table. And people became more animated and more involved in conversation. We're giving up the idea of a dedicated center. So that's changing things. The city wants one thing, the group wants another.
Understood. Thank you for sharing that.
Information.
Would anyone else like to speak? Any topic? Going once, going twice, sold. All right. So, unless any of the commissioners have any additional business, I believe that brings us to the conclusion, at least for this portion of our open session. We may come back into open after our closed session. But for now, could I please get a motion to go into closed session pursuant to the following sections of the Open Meetings Act: 2C1, 2C5, 2C6, 2C8, 2C11, and 2C21.
So move.
Second.
We call the roll, please.
Commissioner Bernstein. Commissioner Flores Weiskopf.
Aye.
Vice President Ruttenberg. President Myers.
Aye. Thanks, everyone. We are
Thank you.
now in closed.
Thank you.
We'll be doing closed.
Thank you.